Hi everyone, this is Claudie. Previously, I updated 2 videos about Animula Nook's playthrough, because I was lucky enough to participate in the game's first alpha test, but I made this video to talk about the fact that my channel might not be making content about this game. This is just a small channel, currently still developing, and following the niche of cozy games. But there are some aspects of the game that completely don't fit with the types of games that I love and am interested in playing. So, in this video, I'll talk about why Animula Nook isn't right for me. Of course, I won't ignore the strengths the game can offer. This is entirely my personal opinion and experience, so it's for reference only. This video is not intended to be offensive or to provide negative information to anyone. One more note. I'm using text-to-speech in this video. Personally, I'm still not very confident about my voice and pronunciation, so I hope it won't bother anyone. Now, let's get to the main point. Animula Nook is a cozy life simulation game with a very unique concept. When you enter the world of Animula Nook, you are introduced to a new concept: minis, which are miniature people. You are an ordinary person who is shrunk down to become part of a world of tiny people. The game features bright, cute colors and offers a truly unique experience where you can shrink everyday objects into decorations. Everything becomes gigantic when you're currently just a tiny, adorable person. The core gameplay of the game is also very relaxing. You cultivate crops, gather materials to craft decorations, meet the inhabitants of the mini world, make friends with them, and invite them to live in your town. The town you own is actually your desk from when you were human, and the yard outside your window becomes your garden. The minis are diverse in personality, interests, and occupation, and you'll encounter them randomly each day on the map. Once you've been introduced and met for the first time, you can add them to your contacts to stay in touch and invite them to live in your town. Each mini who comes to town will have their own house. You need to decorate the house according to their requirements to invite them over. The game also features a rather unique life skill system. Besides cooking and farming, players acquire skills in dancing and performing musical instruments. Overall, is the game pretty, cute, and heartwarming? Of course it is. But here are some reasons why I've decided not to play it in the future, unless there's a significant change, in which case I'll reconsider. People may not know much about me, but I'm someone who enjoys fulfilling my creativity. I may not be good at building and decorating houses. There are hundreds of YouTubers and streamers out there who do that better than me, but I still love the feeling of building, of creating a space that belongs only to me. This made me extremely disillusioned when, at the beginning, Animula Nook offered something called a pre-built blueprint. To put it simply, as mentioned above, you need to build a house for each mini that comes to your town. And all the houses are the same shape, only the colors are different. You can't even decorate the minis' houses yourself, interior and exterior. They will require a few individual decorative items, such as tables, chairs, lamps, and other items that you can craft and place outside their houses. Imagine you're placing it right outside their yard, not inside their house. The only thing you can decorate to your heart's content is the interior of your house, but the exterior is already built. Next, the game also gives you the opportunity to craft individual items to decorate the outside of town. Of course. But for me, this is still a terrible limitation on the creativity I had expected from the game. If you don't want to decorate by crafting each item yourself, you can use the pre-made blueprints. You just need to craft all the items in the blueprint to complete it. I know that for some people, this is a plus point for those who can't decorate themselves. But it's simply a fatal blow for those who like to do everything themselves, like me. This isn't necessarily a drawback for the game, but personally, it makes me lose 50% of my interest in it. As someone who is almost entirely introverted and doesn't particularly enjoy multiplayer's game, the game turned out to be an absolute nightmare for me. When you use the bus station to get to the world map to gather materials, encountering other players is perfectly normal for me. But in the main hall where you learn dancing and performing skills, it becomes a noisy nightmare. The overlapping sounds from yourself and other players assault my ears in unexpected situations. It terribly diminishes my gaming experience, and I hope this can be improved. The game also has a feature that requires you play with other players, where you collect materials and navigate a seemingly mysterious area together to exchange for materials and other decorative items. There's a weekly limit on the maximum points you can earn. Personally, I don't mind having to grind while playing a game, but the experience with this feature was terrible, especially in the alpha test. The player count is too low and matchmaking takes too long. This can definitely be fixed when the game is fully released. But the biggest drawback is the character movements, which I find extremely annoying. You have a skateboard to move faster, but it still consumes stamina. Attacking tiny monsters blocking your way also consumes stamina. And gathering materials with your tools also costs stamina. And you have a limited time in the mystery space, making everything chaotic and unbalanced for me. I play cozy games to relax, not to stress about how much currency I can earn from this feature to exchange for items. This leads to a single solution. You need to have enough people in a team to easily clear this feature. What if you don't have friends to play with, or you don't want to play with anyone? And another point, when you and your teammates split up to gather resources, things aren't divided equally. Whoever works gets to keep the loot, unless you run in the opposite direction and pick up what your teammates have collected. It's too time-consuming and tiring. Perhaps in the future, when the game is released, there will be improvements to this. First, I was very surprised when the game introduced two incredibly unique skills, dancing and performing. Simply put, music and dance activities are deeply intertwined with the culture and society of the minis, as mentioned by the two mentors of these skills. However, The alpha test version currently lacks any specific storyline details. I guess we might learn more in the future. But, besides entertainment, what are these 2 skills used for? Using them to diversify minigames might be a good idea. But besides that, what else can you do with them? You could dance with friends to take photos and videos, which would be adorable, but that's it. I only played the game for a total of 16 hours, no more. So I'm not really that familiar with these 2 skills. I just feel like they're somewhat useless. My assessment might be too harsh, but this is truly my personal experience with these 2 skills. Besides that, you can only farm and cook. Of course, these 2 skills are essential and very basic in farming sims and cozy games. So I won't be too critical of them, because these 2 skills really do need significant improvement. But this is just the first alpha test to introduce the basic features of the game. So, being too critical would really put the developers in a difficult position. Therefore, I won't discuss the specific improvements needed for these 2 skills. But the thing that disappointed me the most, and that I hope will improve, is the game's environment. You enter the world map, walk through a vibrant flower garden with beautiful petals. You harvest sweet morning dew, collect nectar, enjoy the fragrance of flowers, bask in the morning sun, and collect refreshing rainwater for cultivation. Wow, that's a truly poetic and beautiful experience. It lacks something very important: animals. Minis are basically animal-like friends: rabbits, wolves, owls, etc. But other than that, we have nothing else. No small birds, no insects, no fish. I understand why the developers removed the livestock's element to streamline the farming experience. However, the absence of other small animals is a huge loss. I truly hope that when the game is released, I can at least see a miniature world with diverse ecosystems and colors, rather than a world that's visually stunning and musically vibrant but lacks depth. The game has neither announced nor confirmed whether it will have a gacha system. But if a free-to-play game is released, I think we need to understand a basic unspoken rule. Developers need money to maintain operations. Therefore, gacha is one of the quickest and easiest ways to gain player support and secure funding to sustain the game. Personally, I've played a lot of gacha games. If you follow my channel, you'll see that I still play and experience Heartopia, and everyone knows that the game's gacha system is really terrible, but not the worst compared to other games I've played. However, to enthusiastically support the gacha system of a cozy game, I need to consider a few important things, especially since Animula Nook has hindered my creative experiment in the building aspect. The game has a card system where you collect cards to unlock furniture related to the theme of those cards. Of course, there will be duplicate cards, but you can trade cards with other players. I think this is an excellent foundation for a gacha system in a game. Another reason is, I was overwhelmed by sponsored videos about the game. I had very high expectations for Animula Nook after watching those videos, and was extremely happy when I received notification that I was selected to play the alpha test. I even applied to be a content creator for the game, but after experiencing it myself, I was extremely skeptical about the game. So, after this unexpected disappointment, I think I probably 80% won't return to this game. Unless there are radical improvements that exceed my personal expectations. There are other reasons that I think you might also be interested in, but I won't mention them. My channel was created to provide a warm, comfortable environment for everyone. I don't like drama, nor do I like directly criticizing any game. Therefore, everything I write here is based on my personal experiences with the game during the alpha test. I know some of you will disagree. Some will feel my experience isn't deep enough to judge, and some will defend the game. But please understand that just because your personal experience was good, doesn't mean mine was. And vice versa. I'm simply sharing my perspective on why I chose not to create content about this game. Simply put, I didn't enjoy the experiences I had with the game like I thought I would. I couldn't freely share the cute ideas I created from building with others, nor could I have the fun experience of doing something simply building or instructing on something simple that was valuable to other players of the same game. Cozy games are a place for me to heal. Sharing the small joys in these games is my way of healing, and I'm happy that what I share can be helpful to those around me. The pure experience a game should provide is always, are you happy? Are you satisfied? Or do you like this game? Are you relaxed? If a game cannot satisfy these basic needs, then for me, there's no reason to analyze or consider other aspects of the game anymore. I also don't want to join a community or create my own small community centered around a game that I'm not interested in or no longer find fun in. Every game and developer will have its share of flaws. Please don't let this negative information overshadow your own experience. Even the flowery, polished language in promotional videos shouldn't. Listen to your feelings. If you don't like the game, if there's something about it that's a deal breaker for you, then just stop and don't play. This is also the core reason why I decided not to create content about this game. I want to repeat that everything I've written is based on my personal thoughts and experiences. There may be some accurate or inaccurate information about the game's core game, as I know some of you have spent over 40 hours playing this game, and your experiences will be very different from mine. However, I still want to share an objective perspective on the game, and I hope that in the future, Animula Nook can truly develop comprehensively to satisfy those who have chosen to play it.